Farm all. That was it.
Okay.
And they were tripod, wide wheels and a narrow front. And cultivator type. Anyway, I got a 4-row cultivator and planter for the tractor. And then I bought a combine, used one. I think I paid $2,900 for that in those days. And it was so wet one year that we couldn't get very close to us. It rained so much the ground was soft. And so the welding outfit in town there named Berg, and he, after the war, he bought used equipment from airplane tires. They were about that wide, about that high, big. And he made the wheels for them, and he'd mount them on equipment. So I had him put 2 on the combine, 2 of those big wheels, and then I could go through soft ground real easy then. Yeah. It cost $55 for a setup. I don't know what they cost the government. Probably $500 or more.
Mm-hmm. So now you said you sold out in '53. You sold out in '53, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So who did you sell to? Who did you sell to?
Auction.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
So do you know who bought it?
I was just advertised for sale and an auctioneer.
Okay. And then what did you do next?
Well, I stayed there and helped Henry, my brother-in-law, that spring there to get his crop in.
Okay.
Because he took over the farm then.
Ah, I see.
And so I moved to town and lived in a house there for a while.
Okay.
Grace and I and the kids. And then I loaded up the old truck and headed out.
Headed out here. Yeah. What year was that you headed here? That you came here? What year?
That was 53.
53.
Yeah.
Okay. And you came out and you stayed with the League family?
Well, we stayed in a motel when we first got here for a week or two, looking around for a place there. Well, then we bought this place out of North Hall.
Ah, yeah.
You know where that was?
Yeah.
Had a little farm out there. We needed a place to land, that's all. So we bought that and stayed there till, well, we were there for 10 years, I guess.
Well, what did you, was fruit there already? Or?
It was a little berry farm.
Okay.
They raised strawberries and blackberries and loganberries and boysenberries.
Okay.
And cherries.
Oh, yeah.
So it was much of a fruit farm.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough to keep me busy, but the kids were good help there. They helped with the caneberries and stuff like that. And then they worked for the neighbors too. And all went to school at North Hall School.
Oh, yeah.
And the Ditchin kids were going to school there too. You never heard of the Ditchins?
No, I haven't, but I think Ramon has.
You know them. Let's see, it was Eldon. Do you know Eldon?
They do seed, don't they? Or
Bobby.
Watermelon?
And anyway, they were families of Ditchins. There were several families. They spread out and got big farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen any of them for a while, but I think the kids that you knew there, their grandparents had come over from Austria, Europe, and they were very thrifty, hard-working people. Mm-hmm. And one lady lived right across from us there. She and her husband. And their name was Schmidt, but some of the Schmidts then they married a Ditchin, and then there was lots of Ditchins then after that. So, yeah, they were thrifty people. But this little lady, she goodness, she'd get up at, I think, 3:30 in the morning there, and they'd get ready to milk the cows. They'd milk about 10, 12 cows in the milking machine.
Well, Henry had cows, right? When did he buy cows?
Well, he started up after he got the farm, after they got married. Well, then after they moved on the farm there, I sold all the cattle. And so then he was a dairyman.
Yeah.
So he bought a bunch of cows. I think he had them when he was over in Minnesota there. He had the cows. So he brought them, and so well, then he got a bunch of sheep, so he was raising sheep too.
Now, do you remember when you first met Henry?
Henry?
Yeah.
It was about 1930, 31.
Oh, okay.
See, his cousin had worked for my dad. Milton Peterson had worked for him in 1926. Well, then he went to farming for himself. Well, then he had this cousin over in Denmark that wanted to come over here. So he came over and lived with his uncle and farmed up in North Dakota, Henry. So then he learned how to speak the language, and one thing and another, and farming methods. And so then Milton Peterson, his cousin there, recommended he come down and see if he could get work for my dad. So he did. And he was a real good worker, all right, yeah, and smart. So he worked there, I think, for 3 different years, but didn't have any work in the wintertime, so he had to go and work for someone over in Minnesota there in the wintertime. And anyway, I guess he got interested in courting Lois a little bit, so they got married then.
Yeah. Now, with Clarence, when you took care of their farm, where did they went to Iowa? Clarence Elson?
Yeah. Well, he had land there.
Okay.
Well, when my grandfather, Frank Darling, when he moved up there, he bought 3/4 of the land there at Lake Preston. Well, then when he died, they divided him up, the land, and Clarence and Cassie, that my aunt, they got 1/4.
And then your dad.
And my dad, he got 1/4, and then he got the south quarter, which wasn't very good. And in order to make up for the difference there, Frank gave my dad the herd of cattle to compensate for the big hole in the ground. So that's the way they got started anyway.
So they divided up just between the two of them, or was it more?
Well, there were 3/4 of land. Well, my grandmother got 1/4. That was his widow.
Okay.
Well, so then my dad bought it from her. With the place where the farm buildings are. So he borrowed $10,000 and bought the farm from her. So he had that farm and then that quarter south there. So he had two quarters.
Okay. How much more time do we have?